The crypto market crashed due to the CPI report. So here's everything you need to know about the Consumer Price Index and what it means for Bitcoin as we approach the halving. So of course, today the CPI index was forecasted to be a 3.4%, obviously coming out higher than expected at 3.5%, which means more than likely Feds are going to leave interest rates at a higher rate for a longer period of time. If the CPI was lower, this would have indicated that they're about to cut rates and turn on that money printer. So is Bitcoin going to hit 60K or 75K first? Well, here's a picture that I saw on Crypto Banter Show from yesterday that is really valuable. It's a little blurry, but the yellow line is the day of the CPI report. The chart is Bitcoin. Now you'll notice whenever Bitcoin trends upwards towards the CPI report, it crashes afterwards. Trends towards it, crashes afterwards. However, if Bitcoin's price dumps before the CPI report, like it did this time, it generally means you find a local bottom and then move higher in price. So that could mean that Bitcoin just bottomed. However, I believe the real reason why Bitcoin crashed was actually because of the CME gap, which was roughly at the 68,000 level, which of course you'll notice we came down to 67,900 or so and closed that gap that was there. Now for you guys that don't know what a CME gap is, all this is referring to is the fact that the markets for the CME are only open Monday through Friday. So Friday, Bitcoin's price closed at roughly $67,000. However, on Saturday and Sunday, retail pushed Bitcoin's price above 70,000. So this green candlestick is actually Monday and this red candlestick's Friday. They don't include weekends on the CME. So when it opened on Monday, it opened way higher than expected, leaving this little gap. This is really important because 95% of the time, that gap, if it's brought up over the weekend, markets will bring it back down and close it before moving higher. So in my opinion, now that the CME gap is closed, now the fact that we know that CPI is worse than expected, which was kind of anticipated. I'm expecting that Fed pivot not to come till Q4 this year, if not 2025. I think it was going to be higher interest rates for a lot longer period of time. That's kind of like Groundhog Day. It means we have more upside potentially in this market before an initial reversal. And that's because based off historical metrics, well, everybody wants the Feds to pivot. They want them to print more money because they say that's going to be good for the markets. It's actually incredibly bearish. This blue line is when the Feds cut their interest rate. This black line is going to be the stock market. Notice how every time the Feds cut interest rates, it's because something breaks in the stock market and we get a massive pullback. Minus 51% in 2002, 2001, minus 58% in 2008. We also had a massive pullback with COVID-19. The 95% of the time when the Feds cut interest rates, it means the market is breaking and prices are going to go lower. And Bitcoin trends with the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ crashes, I expect Bitcoin to follow suit, at least in the short term. So the fact that interest rates aren't getting cut, we fill the CME gap, we have crazy support levels, the delta, the liquidations are all at $75,000 for shorts. I expect Bitcoin to bounce towards the Bitcoin halving.